emotional affairs in marriage, in relationships.
Every relationship is governed by boundaries. That's why we are able to say, oh, you've stepped off. They begin by crossing boundaries and sharing deep things about their private relationships. They'll go like, oh, I like your shirt. I wish my husband could really buy like that shirt.
Compliments that we give every day. Your shoes are nice. Where do you buy your shoes? But there is a place where you're feeding something that the other person is also enjoying and also drawing you in.
You are investing, you're treating another partner with resources that are supposed to be going to your partner. Then that's what we are calling an emotional affair. There are certain words I can't encourage anyone to address me with, like, hi, darling. I'm like, shut up.
The level of accountability is just very low as well. We just want to say, it's not my responsibility. I can do whatever I want and I can get away with it.
Every person has a standard of right and wrong. People don't consider emotional perversion as a sin. Emotions have no logic. Feelings, they just need a trigger and then they get activated. Science shows that women tend to get more stuck in emotional relationships than men.
An emotional affair doesn't start in one day. The mistake we make is assuming it ends in one day.
Hello and welcome back to Reality Check. Thank you for joining us this week for yet another conversation. This channel focuses on mental health in the areas of family, marriage, relationships, parenting, and the workplace. So if that's something that you think would be helpful to you on your journey in either of those areas, welcome aboard and consider subscribing and giving this episode a thumbs up. Also, if you like our new set, which is lovely, isn't it? This is courtesy of Ineza Shots. They're located at the TMT Atrium building in Bukoto on the 3rd level. And they are good for videography and photography services. Again, if that's something that you would like to take advantage of, do come check them out and take advantage of their beautiful studio. This is not just the only set. There's many others that you can choose from and record your content, take pictures for your wedding and whatever function you have going on. With that being said, my name is Rachel. I'm your host and I'm joined by Dr. Eva Satwine. If you are a regular on this channel, she's not new to you. She's our resident therapist. Also the founder at ICFC, which is a counseling and therapy practice. And also Junior Kwebiha. Junior has become the 3rd host on this show. We're about to give you a permanent seat.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to both of you.
Resident
As well. Resident co-host.
You also have to tell us where you've been.
Where have I been? I'm sorry, I was away, but I left you in capable hands. Bev
Yes,
came
you
and did
did.
such a fantastic
Oh, she
job.
did, didn't she? She did.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank
Bev.
you, babe.
Thank you for coming through. I took a short break, but I'm back now, and I'm ready to dive into our conversation, which hopefully will not shake many tables. Or do we want it to shake tables?
The ones with
if we have
expensive
to.
drinks.
The one with expensive drinks. So we are going to be discussing emotional affairs in marriage, in relationships. So if you are married and you have been suspecting someone in the equation of your relationship, you might want to stick around and maybe get some clarity on what that is and how you can help the relationship. So I'll start with you, Junior. I would like for you to define for us an emotional affair and tell us how it differs from a platonic relationship.
Good. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Doctor. Always good to be a part of the set and make my contribution. So I'm really grateful to God for that and to you as well. So emotional affairs, something that has been around for, for donkey years. But I think for me, simply put, your platonic relationships are basically, relation between basically two people. You're looking at whether it's your social networks, it's activities that you do together, it is growing together, it is buddy-ish. I'm trying to make it as relatable as possible. Your emotional affairs begin to now take a step further and begin to cater to your emotional needs. The minute someone is catering to your emotional needs, you've stepped into a different realm, into a different sphere. And we all know as much as we like to defend emotional affairs, we can talk a lot about what it is not or what it is as we try to defend it. But at the end of the day, we all know when we're in one. We all know we're in one. And you know that because someone who was a friend is now meeting a certain need that no one else really is. So if I was to separate them, that's how I would define them. A platonic relationship can then grow into an emotional one if unchecked. That's how I would simply define it.
Doctor, I would like to hear your clinical definition, if there's one, but I want you to also comment on what Junior said on defending emotional affairs and maybe where that comes from.
Okay, so thank you, Junior. Probably to add to what he has said, that an emotional affair is a deep connection, deep emotional connection, and I'm going to say more about that. Deep emotional, non-physical, but emotional connection with a partner other than yours, other than your primary partner. We all know our primary partner.
It's not
right.
Let's not pretend.
Let's not pretend. I liked when he said you know when you're in one. Now, let me just also give it a background. Every relationship has a level of emotional investment. When we talk about a primary intimate relationship, it's different from all these others that we have on the side. And I've always told my clients that when we, for instance, when we get married, and I get people say, whenever I ask people, are you married? They say, well, what is marriage? I'm living with someone. I'm like, yeah, you're married. You're married. Because you've been with someone for 7 years and you say you're not married. You are married spiritually, aren't you? You're sharing life with someone. So the sharing life with someone, that relationship, whether you're wed in church, even when they pronounce you one, then we don't see that, but it happens at that spiritual level, that bond that is built at that level, established at that level. And when, I love scripture when they say two have become one.
It's like you're forged in fire.
Yes.
We don't comprehend it, but actually you've become one. And you go on a journey of actually becoming, merging and being one. Now, the amount of emotional investment in that relationship, the amount of spiritual bonding in that relationship is different from any other. You see, so that's why we call it a primary, intimate relationship. So that's point number one. Point number two is that every relationship is governed by boundaries. Okay? So that's why we are able to say, oh, you've stepped off. This is an affair. Otherwise, it would be general happiness, every person you meet. But there are boundaries and expectations. And so, for instance, once again, I'll get on record and say, without any fear or favor, that every person who is in an intimate relationship with a partner, primary partner, your wife or your husband, there is an expectation of exclusivity. You see? So that's where it begins from. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to tell whether you're in an affair with someone or not. You see? So there is that expectation that I am the one for you. You see? And so if another person comes and says, I'm also one for you, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
You see? So I think that helps us to cushion this conversation for people to know there is that expectation. And whether we break it and justify ourselves, that which I'm going to talk about, then we know. We know. That's why we hide. Yeah, that's why we hide. Every time you're doing something, you're hiding. Then you know it's wrong. Yeah. You don't need an angel to come and tell you. You don't have to have conviction from, the heavenly hosts. No, you know that it's wrong. That we were fitted with a conscience to help us do that internal accountability system, to know that in this relationship, someone expects me to be theirs. Okay, so I thought I would say that. So let me comment on
The defense. Of
the
it
defense.
and the justifying.
Yeah, so I guess I've already talked about it a little bit. That the defense. Every time, of course, in my work, I meet so many people who are saying, what do you mean? I was just for just. And that's why I always tell people, be careful. Anything you call just. Just. Because you see, Rachel, physical affairs, okay, emotional affairs themselves, if you are investing, you're treating another partner with resources that are supposed to be going to your partner, then that's what we are calling an emotional affair. And we know that if my husband is my husband, there is a certain level of conversation I should have with him that I shouldn't have with Junior, right? There is a certain set of feelings that I shouldn't be sharing with him, but I should be sharing them with my husband, because that's a deep, deep relationship. It's the deepest relationship that anyone can ever talk about on planet Earth. Okay, so when we step off, for whatever reason, which I'm very sure we are going to talk about, then that internal accountability system is going to tick off. You're going to feel it, and unfortunately, conscience is nurtured and reinforced. But it can also be depleted. You can suffocate it. But every time that accountability system is still alive, to whatever extent, it's going to tell you you're doing wrong. And one way, once again, to discover that it's still working is when you have a sense of shame. Yeah, it triggers emotions of shame, guilt, and all that. Now, unfortunately, when people suffocate conscience so much, then those two elements, which are very important, those emotions are important. Shame, guilt, they are important. They are a reminder that you're going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Okay? So then we come out. We say, what do you mean? So we try to validate. And justify. And we say, oh,
We're just friends.
Oh, no, we are just friends. We all gaslight and we say, won't I greet people? Why are you seeing my phone?
Looking at my phone, yes.
I mean, every day I get people that are suffering that. I think just yesterday someone was telling me, the husband was saying, so are you going to cut off my hand so that you stop me from greeting? Gaslighting is actually the biggest response because we are hoping no one finds out. Now, before you know, someone has bumped into your private conversations with this person, or they have seen how your entire structure gets disoriented when you see them, or you're saying wrong words to right words to a wrong person, or wherever, or you're sharing your deep secrets. And again, not to jump the gun, but one of the things I've always talked about advising, especially people in the workplace, how emotional affairs begin. They begin by crossing boundaries and sharing deep things about their private relationships. You see, they'll go like, oh, I like your shirt. I wish my husband could really buy like that shirt. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. Oh, you look good. You work out. Tina married this guy who cannot really, that kind of thing. And of course, that is even light. It can even go to their sex life or wherever. And before you know,
you're hooked. You're hooked. I think I want us to explore the defensiveness of it, which then leads to emotional affairs being hard to detect. Because when I find a message on my husband's phone and I can't quite put my finger on it, but it makes me very uncomfortable, why do you think that then emotional affairs are very hard to detect by both the offender and the perpetrator and the spouse who is making a case?
You know, I use an analogy. You know, when you see these, they are cleaning and they put caution, wet floor, and you walk, then you sleep and you're looking up. So the one thing you're guaranteed is that you are falling. What you're trying to do now is minimize damage. Yeah? But the one thing you're sure of
You
is
have fallen.
I've gone. Yeah? That is how emotional affairs are. You know it's coming. You know it's coming. You just don't know when it's going to come. Now, to why it's hard, it starts innocently. But you know, but the way, compliments that we give every day. Your shoes are nice. Where do you buy your shoes? You understand. But there is a place where you're feeding something that the other person is also enjoying and also drawing you in. So it's rarely one person's fault. You know, it's very rare to have an emotional affair alone.
That's true.
You understand?
There has to be someone
who's
giving
receiving.
and someone receiving.
Yeah, someone is receiving, someone is taking that. But also, it speaks to a lot of us are empty. A lot of us are empty. There are people out there who are not hearing that their work is good. Most of these are starting in workplaces. People are not, there's a lot of bitterness, a lot of anger, there's a lot of emptiness. People are giving of themselves and not getting filled. So when someone feels a little bit, it feels like it's the entire world. Yeah. So there is an element of, there's a certain emptiness that most of us are feeling. Yeah. And we just want it. We all want to hear we look good. We all want to hear we're working hard. We all want to hear the quality of our work is good. We all want to hear what we say and how we say it is good as well. So there is that inherent need that we have as people to just get that validation that we have. Now, for the point around detecting is that it is, you know, wrong things, quote unquote, wrong things are sweet. You understand? It's as if it's almost like, to what doctor was saying, there's an element of let's play with these boundaries
and see where
we go,
yeah.
You know, and see where we go. I've told people that I've had conversations with when they start, is if you give me the first 3 lines of your conversation, I can tell you what the 20th is, because it is always the same conversation. It is always going to be, I'm going out, I don't know what to wear. You understand? And then someone else is okay, but what do you have in your closet? It doesn't change. It is the same conversation. You understand? Before you know it, it is, now I have to show you what you helped me pick out. So you take a picture. Then you take a picture. You understand? The conversation just flows. It doesn't change. I don't have to be, I don't have to be Albert Einstein. You understand? It's not rocket science, you know? And we see, there we're seeing caution, wet flow. But we are walking. Ignoring. It is slippery. Yeah? So we just want to see how far out can I push his boundaries. Now, the other thing about that is when you find a barrier, especially for men, when you find a barrier, because we are hunters, it is not you have said no. You've just told me try a different way. You understand? It is just, so that is why they'll say no, then they'll first pause. And then give you maybe a day, even apologize. I'm sorry, I did not know that. Yes, it was inappropriate. After 2-3 days, it is the same conversation in a different way, creating a different pathway. Okay. To ultimately the same thing. The same thing. There is nothing new under the sun. Around emotional affairs. 2-3 lines, I can almost give you with an 80% confidence level how that conversation ended.
It's going to end. Yeah,
you know? That's true. So I think there's an element of 1, people are empty. 2 is we want to try out other things. But at the end of the day, I keep saying, I've said this before, we are just a generation that doesn't want to be held to account. That's true. We just don't want. We just want to justify everything. Do what we want. And yes, and when we don't find it there, we try and find another word to kind of define it that creates a pathway for us to live with it. Yeah. So the level of accountability is just very low as well. We just want to say it's not my responsibility. I can do whatever I want and I can get away with it. So that fundamentally allows you to try out all these different things and get away with them. You are flirting with someone's wife and it is okay.
Yeah.
It is okay. For me, auntie, but she's the one. She responded.
She responded.
Never I sent and she said, I am here.
Imagine.
You know? So it's there's never an element of I did something wrong. It is not, I should not be doing this. Whether you're married or not, the other person, if you're not, if it is wrong, it is wrong. I think we are overly painting wrong as
good.
Yes, as good, as acceptable.
As acceptable.
As long as you can explain it, it is justified.
Yeah. If I were caught, I would say this. Yeah.
In a worst case scenario, I will just become angry, drive out, and actually go. You understand?
Right.
Yeah, you know, so that is it. Then we are also, many of us in this generation are just not, we just don't fight. Emotional relationships are really, it is the same effort to tell my wife, you look good, and tell another woman, you look good. Why am I telling the other one? You understand? It's the same effort.
Yeah.
I might need to do a bit of work, but we are lazy. We are lazy. No, it is easier to tell someone,
a new person.
Yes, for whom I have no accountability and responsibility. Let me tell them, I get what I want, I go back their side. After all, you just want to see me with the other one.
Wow. Wow. Is it possible that the people who are involved in the emotional affair, and I'm talking the one who is in covenant, when they think about the boundaries, they justify, like you have said, I'm not doing anything wrong per se, and I don't intend to act on this emotion. Basically, I'm not seeing where this is going because I'm married and I don't intend to leave my wife, but this feels good and I don't intend to take it further, because we always think that the physical affair is what is like the deal breaker. Like, so is it possible that we play around with boundaries like that?
You always think you're in control.
Yes,
From everyone that I have spoken to, it's always, but I'm in control. Caution, wet flow, but I'm walking slowly.
In control,
Yeah?
okay.
A caution, but if I can get on my foot, you understand, there's always an issue of, I got this. I have my defenses around. As long as I don't cross this line, it is acceptable. But to Doctor's point, that conscience continues to die, and that line becomes very blurry.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Okay. Dr. Eva.
I think scripture in Genesis 3, the fall of man. I just want to draw some lessons from there. In our human nature, number one, we have to know that we are always in the habit of trying to question and challenge boundaries.
Yeah.
And so that we can sin without shame. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So as long as I do it and I have some reasons, as you have said, then I'm not going to feel guilty. Because you see, what I mentioned earlier is that every action attracts a reaction, an emotional reaction. The emotional reactions can be positive or can be negative. That's why when we say kind words to people, we feel good. Yeah. When we say cruel words to people, we feel bad. But we can put a facade, but we still feel bad. When you do something wrong, you feel bad, but then you cover it somehow. So we are always looking for a cover somewhere. And I love the scripture in Genesis 3, the fall of man. You remember this lady? When they received the commandment from the Lord not to eat
the fruit
from that tree in the middle, it was clear. It was clear. In fact, I've heard people say, oh, this woman wasn't there. When you read the scripture, they were there, both of them. And she knew. She had instructions very clearly. But just remember how she was falling. It's a little step. Let me question this a little bit. And when the devil gave her an idea and said, did God really say? Did he say that you shouldn't? She gave in to that. She knew the truth. She knew the boundary. And I've always shared from this scripture, it's very interesting how you have a whole garden. Actually, when you read this scripture, it's very interesting. They had been given a garden with trees, with fruits, good for the eye and good for eating. She was looking for exactly the same thing, you know, in that what the devil was telling her to do. But the point I was making, number one, is that we know that because what Junior was talking about is that some people are empty, they have that. Some people have amazing relationships, by the way, wonderful marriages, amazing marriages, but they will still entertain something. And then after that, they say, how can I justify this? So they look for all the reasons to justify. Now, I haven't forgotten what you've asked me. You asked, why do people, why
is
do
it hard
people
to
know?
detect?
Why is it hard to detect? It's very hard to detect, number one, based on somebody's value system. We all have a standard of right and wrong. Every person has a standard of right and wrong. Now, what is on my standard of right and wrong might be different from yours. Now, in cases of marriage, you'll have a couple, but their standard of right and wrong is different. So someone says, I cannot have these conversations with a person other than my partner. There are certain words I can't encourage anyone to address me with. Like, hi, darling. I'm like, shut up.
I'm not your darling.
You know, unless it is some innocent relationship, which I'm very sure we understand each other, but I don't entertain that. I'll go like, why are you saying this? Now, you know, Ugandans know how to throw these dears around. Hi, dear. Okay, there's one that will pass, but there's one that won't pass. Point is, we have a structure inside to detect something because of your standard of right and wrong. Now, whenever there is a crossing of boundaries, people don't know that they have that accountability system. And on the list on your standard of right and wrong, we also have the non-negotiables. Okay? So there are certain things that I can't do, I can't say, or I cannot, even when someone is so close to me, like Junior, the work we do, there are certain things I can't say to him. There are certain conversations I can't have with him. That is on my standard of right and wrong. Now, whenever they cross, we don't pay attention to that until we have fallen. Then we say, oh, we work backwards and say, but was it bad?
So bad?
Was it so bad? That's when you check and see how your standard of right and wrong is. Some of the things don't even make it to your list of non-negotiables. And so that is number one. And usually when a couple is fighting over you said this to someone, that's not you, you've crossed boundaries, that's an emotional affair, then people are fighting and say, what's wrong with that? Only that, just that. It's because according to their standard of right and wrong,
it's okay.
It's acceptable, right? You see, that's why, for instance, you hear people say, oh, you know, my partner cheated because I had gone for the 3 months course. I'm like, shut up. No, that's not true. It's because that's acceptable to them. They can even cheat when you're on the same bed.
Absolutely.
Right? You're sleeping on the same bed because that's allowable according to their standard of right and wrong. So that's number one. Number two, the sin, the inherent
sin,
the inherent desire to sin and beat
the boundaries,
or extend them, or you know. So we always have this question at the back of our mind: but did God really say? Did God really say? I'm just so bad? Going. I am just. Then, of course, the third one is, of course, what you have talked about makes sense. Yes, clearly, there are some people who are in relationships that are dry and are not fed every day. That's why I always say to people that a good relationship doesn't require so much. It requires a word. it requires an act of kindness. It requires just acts of humanity. Simple little things. You've seen your partner, they are looking good, but you hold back. Then your partner has to ask you, did you see, do I look good? Yeah, if you were not looking good, I would have told you. Like, why did you tell me I look good?
Oh dear.
You see? And so this habit of taking each other for granted, and so people start craving those words of validation and affirmation from other people. But this is not to give a ticket to anyone. No, feed it. In fact, in relationships, in relational science, we have a principle that whatever you want in a relationship, first plant it there. You want words of affirmation, start. Because your partner may not have grown affirmed.
Yes.
You see, there are so many people that have grown and their parents don't affirm them. They don't get this from their home. So you expect that this person is going to all of a sudden be bubbly, give you words of affirmation, give you a hug and all. No, these things are taught, you see. And so once you, as a person, you benefited from that, like I did, then take it to the marriage. Because in a marriage relationship, we only harvest what we have planted. So you need words of affirmation. Start. Tell your partner. Tell them, oh, you look amazing. The following day, the science of it is that they are going to feel indebted to you to return this. You see, and that's how we keep planting in the marriage. But on the surface, I'll tell you, it's one of the reasons. Like emptiness, and then they say, it's acceptable. We are just talking about nothing serious. But one of the things, again, Rachel, I think the main reason is that people don't consider emotional perversion as a sin. They think it's acceptable. And as again a relational scientist and a clinical psychologist, I'll tell people that all emotions, or rather all affairs begin at emotional level. They begin at emotional level. So don't be comfortable and say, we are just, I'm just flirting, or it's just a word. It's just, no. And I always use an analogy of, I've seen, anyone has seen a cat kill a rat? It begins by playing with it. They don't just get it and chew it. No. They begin by playing. Now, in the playing, a rat thinks it's a game. But it doesn't know that this cat is actually weakening it. So the more you touch, so that the cat gets it, chews a bit, throws it there, then think, I'm still running. I'm still okay. Still have the energy. The more you play, the rat realizes I'm losing energy, because every time I think it's the science of it, gets it and it's hitting some joints and weakening, so that then by the time it eats it up,
it won't fight. That's
exactly what happens in emotional relationships, because you start by playing. Oh, you look nice. I love your shirt. Oh, how are you doing? Now, the more you do it, you realize you're getting closer, closer. Now, the closer you get, the more resistance you lose. So that's what happens. Then before you know, you're talking about eating lunch together and all that. And before you know, it ends wherever it ends. Rachel, can I remind viewers at this point that emotions have no logic?
They do not.
Right? Emotions have no logic. Feelings, they just need a trigger, and then they get activated. That's why we have a whole science of emotional regulation. So you have to regulate them. You have to manage them. Emotional management. Now, it's okay for me to see Junior and say, wow, that's a lovely shirt. Okay? Number one, what is the motive that I'm saying? Is it a genuine thing? And honestly, I know that I think it's a general complaint in our country that people don't know how to take compliments.
No.
If I tell Junior that his shirt looks good, he's going to think, what is this girl thinking? So
What
we
does
think
she
every
want?
compliment is going to, I think we are just a sexualized society. But I want to tell you, some comments are normal.
Yeah.
They're just normal.
Yeah.
But you have to check at an individual level.
Why
Is
am
it
I saying
normal?
this?
Why are you
Yeah.
saying it? Okay? And am I saying it with clear boundaries? Right? Or so that is important.
Yeah.
But we have to know that emotions have no logic. So you have to engage your logical part to, number one, know why you're saying something. Two, does this person have the ability to comprehend that this is an innocent? That's also a thing. Or they think I'm just inviting them into something else. So it's there.
Yeah.
I hope I've answered
You
question.
have. And I think one of the things that you have said that has stood out for me is the standard of right and wrong. And I hope that as people watch, they can question whether they have that standard, for starters. And I think, to both your points, we live in a society, maybe not just even Uganda, world over, people's standard of right and wrong is like the wind. It depends on how they're feeling. It depends on what's going on in their lives at that time. It depends on so many things except right or wrong, you know? and so you find that we act more towards, or we respond more based on how we are feeling, which, like you have said, is very fickle and can be misleading. And I honestly feel like we can end the show now because we've tackled why this happens, the emptiness of our lives, and maybe the emptiness because people are not affirming us and all. But I think even just at individual level, even if someone is not affirming you, there must be something right about your life that you can hold on to and use that as fuel to keep going. But let's talk about the handling of the emotional affair, because it's difficult to detect. There's a lot of gaslighting happening in relationships. People are denying. People have no standard of right and wrong. Like, what's a woman to do or what's a man to do if they find their partner having some sort of relationship which they can't quite define but makes them uncomfortable because boundaries have been crossed, maybe the boundaries that were never even set in the first place. So how does a couple handle a conversation like that? And maybe as you speak about that, talk about how that emotional affair affects the person who is feeling betrayed and then the relationship going forward. We'll start with you, Junior.
I'll go back to responsibility. At the risk of starting this question with the person who is, quote unquote, the victim, the responsibility for it to end is always going to be on the person who is in it.
Sure.
It's very difficult. And I think many people get frustrated by trying to control the other person who is in it. It's absolutely difficult.
Yep.
You start checking phones, you're sending investigators, you're asking what time did you come back, you know, for me, who is this person? You ask all sorts of things that you're not in control of.
Yeah, and that's frustrating.
It's very frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. Yeah. So that for me it's painful, but that for me is one thing that, again, with so many people that I've had these conversations with, if the other person has chosen not to stop, it's going to be difficult for you to cause them to stop. It's going to be very difficult. That responsibility must start with the person who is in it, to say, look, this really needs to change. And I think it goes back to having that conversation of saying, look, what are our standards? Okay. Values have been broken, standards, everything has, but let's have this conversation. Are you willing to get back on this horse?
Okay.
And are you willing to have this fight? Are you willing to get back into what it is? Again, for me, ever since I learned about growth, I know that it doesn't have to be easy. I hate trainings.
Yes.
I really hate trainings.
Yeah.
But everyone goes for a 2-day workshop. They give us allowance. They give you lunch. You do what you really don't like it.
Yeah.
But it makes you better at your job.
That's true. Yeah.
We don't invest, when it comes to our marriages, we don't invest in that. Now, the investment for an emotional affair is everything you do around it, is the training for it.
That's true.
And the thing is that we need to have the conversation about, look, this is wrong. And, you know, everything that has that conversation, this, where are we going? I think one of the conversations that we need to have almost at every time we have this,
Yeah.
this is always a where are we
Where are
going
we
conversation.
going?
Because if
Yeah.
you're going this side and you're doing something that's investing resources to go a different direction, then it's confusing what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah.
So that conversation is important. I think that you need to have then a circle of accountability around you. And for me, it's also because I have seen and know that for the person who is in an emotional relationship, sometimes, like I said, the legs are up. You know you have done what?
You have fallen.
Yeah? You're in this relationship, you're in a hole.
Yeah.
The first thing you have to acknowledge, I am in a hole. I have fallen.
Yeah.
When this person calls, I cannot not pick up. I cannot. I just can't.
True.
You understand? I have got friends who have even said at a point where they stopped loading airtime on their phones because they could not stop themselves from calling the other
this
person.
Ouch.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We had a group of some guys. I know Dr. Evers keeps saying every time I talk about accountability with men, there's not enough good resources, evidence, but it's important. And we're a group of friends a couple of years ago, and we had this thing. So in WhatsApp, there are blue ticks, blue circles, blue dots, and red dots. So if I find myself in a compromising situation, the conversation is going in a certain way, and I see caution, wet flow. I send a red dot.
Okay.
The red dot tells the guys that this person is in a certain, which is likely going to be, but we all know where that goes. So people are supposed to get on the phone, what's up, what's happening, and so on and so forth. If you send 2 red dots, it becomes an issue of someone has to call.
Okay.
Because you know where you are.
Yeah.
What's happening? What are you doing? What is going on?
Who are you with?
Thank you. The third one, if I send 3 dots, I send 3 dots with a pin. Because at that point I'm saying, the legs are up, I have lost control, and to be honest, I don't think I am going to make the right choice in the next decision. So it is, we need to find a way to find you. To rescue you. Okay. Yeah? We did it for a while, we laughed about it. Sometimes we tossed it in the middle of the night so guys could just see if it worked, you know.
Okay.
Does it work? No, it does not.
Yeah.
Is it something that requires to be done? Yes, I think it is. You have to be, because I know that there is a point in an emotional relationship where reason does not matter.
That's why I say
it does not matter.
Yes. Especially
Emotions
you have no logic anymore.
Yeah.
That has been suffocated,
Yeah.
and you're just operating on how you feel.
You can map out a path, you can plan a calendar, you can plan a work trip. Logic has left the building. And at that point in time, you need someone that you can actually call and say, this evening, the way I'm sensing it at 4, by midnight, it is going to be a problem. I need you to come and rescue me. There are people who I know who have told me in my young days that, you know what, if I'm going to go out, I would rather call you and I go with you.
Yeah.
And for friends of mine, if I've gone out with them, gone for a move, whatever it is, I always tell people, let me know when you get home.
Yeah.
Let me know when you get home so that I know you have gone home and you're okay. You know, so there's some level of accountability. So I think for me, the one part is having a conversation, but I also know that the work is more with the person, the relationship.
That's true.
It is sometimes very difficult. You can't just say, you know what, I've decided that I've walked out. Most of them are not that easy to walk away from. Now, there are also times where it's hard. It is an element of saying, I am not going to respond to this person's messages. I am not going to respond. Now, there are people who you chat with innocently. How are things going? Then I think the other person senses, but this person's conversation, I seem to be enjoying it more than I should. Every time I am messaging someone and someone does not seem to be as responsive, I also don't overpush.
Yes.
But why don't you respond to my messages?
Yeah.
Because I realize that I might still have my values, I might still have my control, but the other person might be saying, but this one where we are going, I told him he has a nice shirt, even when his shirt was absolutely weak. But me, I saw that it was nice.
Yeah.
So there is no shortcut to the work that has to be done.
Yeah.
I think many times we assume an emotional affair doesn't start in one day. No. The mistake we make is assuming it ends in one day. It's not like that.
Wow.
It doesn't. You know, this someone has been sneaking around. You see, you've built a system that lies, a system that accommodates, a system that hides. You have become a master at secrecy. Your password is in Mandarin. You have people who tell you, you have the structure of all the lies that you have built a system to facilitate that lifestyle.
Yeah.
You don't just walk away from it.
That's true.
You have to dismantle.
You have to dismantle it.
Yeah.
And I think for the people who have been hurt, their frustration is this thing is not breaking as fast as. You can have that conversation today, and tomorrow their person calls. And they're having a conversation.
Like it's starting all over again.
But we had this conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
You understand? Now, it's difficult to do cold turkey. It's difficult to just say, I've stopped now, I've stopped. That's what we should do.
Okay.
But it is not easy. Now, to do that, you just say, I have made the decision, but there has to be a system around it to protect you from yourself.
Okay.
There are times where I tell people, even in our business today, I tell people, I know that sometimes I am the problem. I need people who can protect me from the bad version of myself.
The maturity to come to that.
It is hard.
I almost asked Richard, can you allow me to
please
ask Junior?
Yes.
How did you tell us more about the boys?
The boys group.
Because honestly, the reason I'm asking is that sounds like really, really great. That accountability group.
Yeah.
How did that look like, and how did it?
So it did not. So this is what eventually happened. We had a couple of situations where we're able to say, I know that there is something wrong. Yeah. Because when you have that, you begin to tell when people are saying, man, you know what, today I'm going to send you 3 dots because, man, at home, you pick it up. You pick it up. You become more aware. You see, the minute you begin to talk about accountability and create a structure, then you've created an environment to actually have certain conversations at a certain level. So you can easily pick some of those things up. The biggest problem that we have is sustaining them.
That's true.
Is sustaining them. And today, a lot of men are difficult to get a hold of.
That's very true.
You know, the reason I was giving this follow-up question is that one of the biggest challenges we have, and I hate to have biases. I don't have biases, but I also know the trends across genders. I think it's more difficult for men, first of all, for them to plunge into an emotional affair without seeing the sign of
wet flow.
Wet flow.
Yeah, because one time I was doing a session for one of the workplaces we support, and this was about workplace intimate relationships. And I mentioned a few things about how these relationships evolve. And I could tell in the room, like men were saying, wait a minute, what's that? Because they tend to think that most of the things are innocent until they find themselves with legs up. And it's, you know, it got me thinking. I was like, okay, so women, we are really cunning, like you can, and it's biblical. You know how this lady got the guy's eyes out. Delilah. So there is that Delilah spirit that we all have in different amounts. And it just got me, I'm like, oh my God, men don't know when they are actually getting on the slippery ground. And they thought, oh, is that sexual harassment? Is that someone is trying to get? I thought it was, it was really okay. And because of that, when they are caught, when their partner finds out, then it becomes a fight. And some of them are like, what's wrong with that? Honestly, I feel like because they tend to, and of course, men also have enjoyed this false sense of them, they can do whatever they want, get away with it. And so a lot of gaslighting on that. And of course, even women really gaslight them, but it's more on the other end. And so that's why I got interested. But also, I got curious because I know it's also a trend that most men, when they see their brothers get onto the slippery ground, they tend to go like, oh, he knows what he's doing.
Yes.
That is true.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Because I do remember, like, one time we had a case in one of our fellowships that, and we lost that guy. We lost a preacher, a great preacher. And this guy, the brothers saw. It came out, and the wife was screaming for help.
Yeah.
And it hadn't gone too far. But you know, the men, you'd reach out to this and they say, not me. Not me. And so I got curious. I'm like, why? How do you succeed with this group? Because it's this group that says, okay, red dots, Junior is in trouble. We need to get 999 and run there. And with that sense of accountability, like, I need to rescue my brother. And that's why, for instance, you see most marriages where a man gets perverted, the brothers are seeing. But to get one to call them out, Jesus, it's hard.
It is definitely, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said, Junior, I see you on YouTube. I want to tell you so that you go and tell people. He said, look, where we are today, we understand, is the fruit of bad seed that was sown, you know. He said, but for us now, it requires consistency over time. Most of us keep talking about consistency, but we don't endure. We don't have that time element. And I think to your point is, we don't have enough brothers that will call you, you don't pick up, send you a message, you blue tick them, no response, you do what, and they don't stop, and they come to your home.
Office,
we don't have that consistency.
No, we don't.
We don't have that consistency enough. But also, again, for me, I speak about it because in my own circles, I won't say it is working 100%, but I can say that there are people that my wife can run to and say, look, this guy, there is something that is not, talk to your boy. There is something that's not working. And I know that we have both given them the right to have certain conversations with us. So there's some that will come. Even when we have that group, the friends of ours, and one or two of us is running away, we know we are running. And we will try and use every avenue to corner. But the one thing we will let there, you see, I think one thing that men want to know is, I don't want to have this conversation. I'm not ready. But I know you are available. And I think it's an element of saying, look, I'm seated here. You don't have to talk about it. It's okay. I know you're doing something stupid. But I'm here. When you're ready, let's have this conversation. You know, I think many times we try to cause the other person to change
have the conversation.
And act.
We twist them.
And then it's almost like, hey, are you trying to tell me I am not a man? I'm not in control. My wife is disturbing me. You've also joined. It just becomes a different fight altogether.
That's true.
So it becomes an issue of, look, I know you're dealing with something. It is glaring. I am here. When you're ready, pick up the phone and call me. And I'll keep asking you certain questions. Whether you respond or not is a secondary issue. I will do my part. So I think we need to build that culture that doesn't require instant result with every intervention.
It's actually a judgment-focused kind of approach. And I think that's where maybe, I don't know, Rachel, whether we've jumped, but I think it's a good point that when brothers approach each other, they lack grace.
Yes.
Do they?
Yes.
Like
they lack grace.
If a woman approaches a man, is when we lack grace.
Yes. Okay. So the grace is in approach.
Okay.
Right. It's not that they are having their best time of life. They are lost. They are lost. And when you're going to a lost person, that's why I always tell people in counseling, when you're trying to help someone, you don't approach them judgmentally. Now, when you approach them judgmentally, I use an analogy of someone drowning. When someone is drowning, you don't come and say, how did you get there? They are just saying, help me. You're like, didn't you know that if you stood here, you'd get, drown. You don't do that. You first rescue them graciously, and then you can have the harsh conversations. So I think that's where sometimes it becomes a problem. But back to being I'm not the host. Now, the thing is, I wanted to add something to what he mentioned. The response, that was the question. The way we respond when
How we handle
how we handle it. Of course, gaslighting is the biggest thing. And in my work as a therapist supporting different couples, that's the first response. That's the first response. And it's in the natural because we even see it amongst the first couple. You know, not me, not
the
me.
woman you gave,
not me. So there is always blaming someone else. The woman you gave me, the snake, the all. That's always normal. Now, why I'm saying this is that it always frustrates the other aggrieved person, the victim, we called them, because they say, "How can you now? You're blaming me," and I say, listen. Whatever they are saying, does it make sense? Because it's a natural reaction to
defend yourself.
Yeah. It's normal. But even the person who is putting out this defense, they need to listen to themselves, you know, and definitely some of them make it to our counseling room and they say, by the way, I did this because I wasn't getting validation. I'm like, oh yeah, you deserve validation, but are you sure that's the best way to get it? Why did you tell your partner that you needed it? You see, there is always a safer option.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the other things, of course, now gaslighting seems like you've gotten away with it. What people don't understand is that whenever you defend wrong, psychologically you've put a wrong tag on it. So in whichever way you have justified your wrong, you have put a wrong tag on it. Because you see, in behavior change, you cannot change from something you justify. So if you're sure you want to change, the starting point is acknowledging that it's wrong by putting the right tag on it. You may not be ready to change, but you have named it, you have labeled it. So the brain now knows how to channel resources to support you to deal with it. But if you say, what's wrong with it? Who is not doing it? Am I the only one? I was just flirting. Who doesn't flirt? I don't have... You know, usually we go to sex life. Our sex life is bad.
Is bad.
And then, you know, sex life has really seen days because even outside, and especially when you have your friends, you're trying to look for something that people cannot really check.
Yes.
So you say our bed issues. What do they call
bedroom
it?
issues?
A bedroom issues. Bedroom issues.
The bed is not shaking.
The bed is not shaking. The bed is not shaking. Now that one, how many people can go and validate
and
verify?
Yeah.
So we look for things that can't be verified. But the thing is, if you put the right tag on it, you're going to get a supply of emotional resources, strength and courage and all to deal with it. So please start by labeling it. Is it right? You can't do something just because other people do it. You know, and people say, who is not doing it?
The lack of standards.
Who is not doing it, but also, how did you get into my phone?
You violated my privacy.
You violated my privacy. And that's really ugly. Violated your privacy. You have no privacy.
Right?
No, you have no privacy. There is a level of protection that we should have. There's a level of privacy, but this privacy, you only are entitled to it when you're doing the right thing, but not when you're doing the wrong thing. When you're doing the wrong thing, you've lost the right to privacy. You see, it's the same thing like you're a prisoner and you say you have... You
want privacy.
No. You have no privacy.
Freedom,
you have no... A huge part of your freedom has been invaded. They have to take you, put you on a bus. You have a car, but now here you are, you're boarding a bus. You see? So there is a level of freedom you forfeit.
That's true.
And so we need to know that the privacy, the entitlement and all gets invaded or gets...
lost. You lose the right.
You
to
lose
Yeah.
the right.
Yeah.
Because especially we talked about checking the phone. You remember the conversation we talked about checking your partner's phone? People need to know that the moment you get diverted emotionally, your partner is going to detect it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They are going to see it because there's a certain emotional structure that you maintain when you're you're healthy, you're relating in a healthy way. The moment you get perverted, a part of you is going to get lost and your partner is going to detect it. That's why I started with oneness, because this body of mine is a big body. But if you touched this finger and pressed it,
You feel.
I'm going to feel pain, the entire body,
Yeah.
right? So I can't say, oh, it's just a finger. If you cut off my finger, I'm not going to work tomorrow. You see? So when your partner detects this, you cannot remain the same. So you can't have all the freedom and say, it's just it is that. So that's number one. Number two, I wanted to say something, Rachel, about people saying, what's wrong with it? Because I can hear some people, even you watching this show, and say, these people are also exaggerating it. What's wrong with just touching someone? What's wrong with... Now, for instance, the things that we talk about, the boundaries you have to maintain.
Yeah.
People don't know that they are going to lead you here. For instance, touching, physical touch. Some people don't hug their partner, but they hug a co-worker. And a deep hug, right? Now, they don't know that the definition of emotional affair, there is what we call bonding, right? Now, when you touch someone, the body releases hormones that strengthen you, okay? So if I shake your hand, there's a warmth that is released. So those hormones are called oxytocin. Oxytocin, if I hug someone, I'm going to feel, warm and all. Now, you do it today, you do it tomorrow, you hug again, you hug again. Be careful, you're likely to bond, and before you know, you've lost control.
That's true.
Okay? So that's one. But also, one of the things people need to know is that to detect an emotional affair, you have to check how your partner would feel if they were in your presence. If your partner was in your presence, would you say that? Would you do that? Would you hug that way? Things you wouldn't do in the presence of your partner.
Yeah.
That's how you're able to detect, this is an emotional affair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But also, something that you wouldn't accommodate if your partner did it in your presence. That is so important.
Yeah.
Okay? So would I admire Junior or another man with the words, because words are powerful. With the kind of emotional position and demeanor? Would I do that in the presence of my partner?
Yeah.
And if
the answer is no,
you see, the answer is no.
Yeah.
So then, if it is no, then you know that that's unacceptable. It's not acceptable. You see. Finally, I wanted to say something about supporting people. One of the things we need to understand is that sin isolates. So every time we are doing something wrong, the last thing you want is someone calling you out. Sin isolates, and the devil isolates you because, God bless our former Archbishop. One time he used, he was talking about the power of fellowship and connection with accountability partners. And he said it in Uganda, I hope I say it the right way. He said, Ensana feva ku mugendo efuuka kaasa. If a red ant, they walk.
Army ants.
Army ants. They walk in as an army. But when a person who fears or doesn't fear, when they come and they approach their, they jump. They jump and leave them because they can bite you.
Yes.
But when one of them leaves that mugendo, then it moves to a separate place. When someone is coming, they are likely to
stamp it.
To squash it.
To squash
yeah,
it. So that's exactly what happens. When the devil cannot destroy you in a group.
No, you'd have
No,
to isolate
he first
you.
isolates you. When he isolates you through justifications, you're doing things and you don't even want your closest friend to see.
Yeah.
When they find out, then you tell them you're not ready to talk. When, you know, those kinds of things. You have to know that the devil is actually successfully isolating you so that he can squash you. Yeah. So in that case, then someone who is in it needs to know that in handling it, you actually would benefit a lot from the power of partnership and the people who would tell you what you don't want to hear.
And save you from yourself.
And save you from yourself. You see? Because this is a common trend. When someone is drifting away, they just cannot listen to anyone, especially Junior, my brothers, because even women, I mean women, I've got some friends who will say, I don't want to talk. That's okay, we respect that, and I'll say, I'm just praying for you, and that's okay, when you're ready to talk,
I'll be here.
They'll come back 2 years later after they've lost everything. But we need to know that if you benefited from your accountability partners, and you have to give them permission to tell you what you would rather not want to hear, that's when you're going to solve the problem. Otherwise, you're going to gaslight everyone.
I think for me, the scariest thing about what both of you have said on emotional affairs is that you can't just break it. Because the same time it took to build will probably be the same amount of time it takes to dismantle. And you're really at the mercy of someone wanting to fight for the relationship. And so if they don't, I mean, that's how people end up saying, you know what, let me just go start another relationship. Let me leave this one because maybe I was never in love with my wife or I was never in love with my husband. And as we close the conversation today, I want to ask you both a follow-up to what you were saying on cold turkey not being an option. How then does a spouse communicate to their spouse that I hear you and I understand how this affects you and I want it to stop and I'm doing A, B, C, D, E to stop this thing? How do they communicate? Because I think the natural reaction is to continue being defensive. I've already apologized. Like, what else do you want me to do? You know, and I'm doing my best, you know, to get rid of this relationship. How do you communicate to your spouse that you are working on this thing that they want and you want to get back to the union of your relationship? And I guess in general, how do couples safeguard themselves from emotional affairs as we close?
One of my friends from, I just realized when you say my friend from 30 years ago, I realized I'm so old.
You are not young.
One of my friends from a long time ago used to have a saying, you cannot talk yourself out of something you behaved yourself into.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
good. Say it again.
Already at that point, it is dead. You cannot stop yourself. I caught you stealing, but you're going to say I've stopped.
How?
No, how?
It is no
It
way.
is the behavior that has to change.
Yes.
So the how do you say it? You act it.
Okay.
This emotional affair grows because you are investing in it. It is impossible to say I want to change this side without investing.
Yeah.
Now, most of the time that you get into an emotional relationship, you have stopped investing, so you've also forgotten. And it's not instantly. You've forgotten over a period of time. Or maybe and I'm speaking from a guy's perspective. Your wife gave birth, or now she's breastfeeding, or she's what, it has been so many. It takes a while for them to just get back to, okay, now the baby is, I'm comfortable in the baby. Now, over time, you keep forgetting certain things. Your wife is also changing. Your wife without a child is the same individual, the human being, but is a different person with different needs. So you're going with the needs of the one who did not have. The point being, when you get to a certain point, you want to keep investing what you were investing in the other one. But when I used to say to my wife that let's go out, she would go. Now she doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
But when I call my workmate, we go out. She
will come.
So you don't have to change. You want to do the same things and get the same result from someone who has changed.
Yeah.
So there's an element of how do you say it? You have to act it. How do you act it? you have to go back to first principles and sit down and say, number one, do I really want to fix this? Yes. What about this woman matters? What matters to this woman today? This woman who I have known for 20 years, in this year 2025, with 3 children, what matters to her today? And begin to invest in that. That's the way that you invest in that. Number one, says it, but also gets you to start detaching from the other one. You cannot say it here and act differently the other side. It's a zero-sum game. Yeah. So that is definitely one of the things that I think is important for people to do. I think many times we don't want to do that work. Sometimes we don't want to do that work. And for guys especially, you know, as I close, the last thing I will say, I keep saying, and again, from a guy's perspective, when I have conversations with people like this, one of the things I ask them is, as a man, if God, you have a daughter, then God opened your eyes and fast forwarded your life to when your daughter is what? She's married. Oh, no, not yet married. She knocks at the door, opens and says, Daddy, this is the man I want to marry. Then God says, pause. And he mowers you. And he shows this man treating your daughter the way you're treating her mother. Would you give your daughter's hand in marriage to that man? No. Most of the time, it will never be easily, yes, 100%. The point is that we are all imperfect. And we are always going to, if you have to keep improving and getting better, which goes back to that element of, if we know emotional affairs, we know. Yeah. There is no point in asking anyone.
Yeah. Am I in?
Am I in?
That's not true. We
know. So it is get the work done. Yeah. Get the work done. The other one is growing because you're investing. Just invest here. It's the same investment. It's the same effort. Same effort.
That's right. Rachel,
your turn.
My turn. Yeah. 2 or 3 things. Number one, the person that is the victim, whether man or woman, you have to know the kind of person you're dealing with. Because when someone has been in an emotional affair, they've been hiding, and when they get caught, you have to know, how are they feeling? Because most of the time we expect that this person all of a sudden is normal, they are going to say the right things, they won't lie. No, they're struggling. Now, so you'll get someone say, can you imagine I caught him and now he said, I say, yeah. Let's first check their emotional structure. What do you think is going on in their lives? How do you think they are feeling? They say, oh, they have been there enjoying themselves now. No. So the thing is, the first line reaction is that it's coming from a place of struggle. No logic, just emotions. I've been running an emotional show, now another ugly one, so let me see how to protect myself from being killed. And so then they're going to come out. They're going to say things they don't mean. They can even tell you, I didn't even love you. And I mean, they're just going to react in whichever way. And you have to know, that 80% of the things they are saying, they don't even mean them, but they're just trying in defense mode. And so that is important because people settle for first line reaction and it doesn't have any logic. Some of the people, when they are caught, they think, after all, let me just continue with this emotional relationship. Who knows?
It's easier.
How it will end. Now, again, it's this deception of new is always better. And I honestly want to use this opportunity to say something about it. People don't know that every relationship starts at emotional level. And I've met some people absolutely stuck after they had, like as I mentioned earlier, they had a good marriage, really no bedroom issues, everything is, it's a normal relationship. But because they allowed themselves to be perverted, then they try to look for a justification. And one of them, I think, to be honest, he failed to get what to hold on to as a justification for what he was into. But this is it. They met at the workplace, and the one thing led to another. Both of them, I think the wife decided to end her marriage, and they thought what we call bad people, good people who were married to bad people. Now they are starting a marriage of good people. Then before they know, they are fighting, and now they are bad people. You know, so now I've seen so many in my line of work who have started an emotional relationship, and once they are caught, then shame is converted into anger, and then they decide to start a marriage. They say, now you have even nudged me so much, let me just marry her or marry him. And then they abandon their marriage, and then they are riding on that emotion, and it feels like a better relationship. Now I'll tell you, Rachel, every relationship starts at emotional level, but graduates into a management relationship. So whether you've started, whether it's feeling so sweet, you just feel like you're going to heaven on foot, it's because much of the positive energy you have is that you have fewer issues to manage. But before you know, it's going to convert into a management platform. And before you know, you're going to go back to the same. Even when, by the way, you feel you have justification, you feel, oh, I don't get the sufficient affirmation. Oh, my wife doesn't make juice, so I don't know juice made from plants. Or whatever reason you have to know that you have an option of actually planting whatever you want in your relationship, in your primary relationship, rather than riding on this that seems like Eve's situation, who saw a tree that had fruits that looked good in the eyes or to the eyes and good for food. No, you already have it. You already have it. You just need to nurture it. So don't start a new relationship just because you feel good. Relationships don't run on feelings. They run on management of issues. So if you choose to convert this into a long-term relationship, then you have to know that you're headed for another management platform, and before you know, you have two problems. Two problems. And lastly, I wanted to say something, Rachel, maybe I should have said it earlier. We are also, science shows that women tend to get more stuck in emotional relationships than men, because actually, even in therapy, it's much easier to counsel a man out of an emotional relationship than a woman. Yeah, because when a woman gets in, it's not surfacey. You know, these juniors, men, they can sleep with a woman even whose name they don't know. And they just feed in the moment, but they don't need details. Sad but thing. For women, we go after feelings. They made me feel like this, feel like this, and feel like this. And so my sisters who are listening, just so you know, you're likely to dive deeper, and to get you out, especially when you still need your marriage, it can be harder. It becomes harder because we tend to get a pin where you're holding on to, you're like, oh, he told me this, which my husband doesn't say. Oh, you know, he made me feel like this and feel like this. But to know that feelings do not drive life. Feelings just remind us that we are human and we need to act. Yeah, so we see that women actually struggle more in terms of management. They can actually be married to another person
while
and
still
forget the 4 children they have. And we see this all the time. Yeah, so and when you check, they are working in retrospect. They are trying to justify and say, yeah, after all, this one told me this. But when it converts into a management platform, and you have more issues to deal with, you have your children who hate you, you have like so many things that are going to happen, then that's why you need to engage your critical mind and logical mind and say, really, yes, I feel nice, but how about the issues I'm going to manage? Really, men, am I ready for another woman? Another family. How does that family look like? And most of the time they say, but I have the money to. No, it's not money. It's issues that you have to deal with. Yeah. So thought I would say that.
Yeah. Thank you both. I think there's a lot to take away from this conversation. My personal takeaway, I've already said, was the standard of right and wrong. I think every individual needs to evaluate if they have that standard and where you are on the scale. What things are permissible, what things are okay in your opinion, and maybe what informs that standard of right or wrong, because then that informs how you respond to your spouse, if they're the ones in an emotional affair, or if you're the one in the emotional affair, how you then handle fighting for your marriage or allowing it to, to die, so to speak. So thank you. I think we've spent quite a bit of time on this. I don't know if you have like one last thing to say and then we'll close.
Maybe one last thing to say is that we have to be very careful that most emotional affairs result in physical affairs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
somehow it will graduate into...
If it's not curbed.
Yeah, if it is not. You're likely not to float for long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might need to land.
Yeah, you're likely to land somewhere.
Float
Yeah,
until you...
so emotions will just drive you into that if you're not careful. So don't settle in, I'm just. And be careful about things you call just. Just is likely to lead you to a deeper end. Yeah.
Yeah, Junior, or you finished all your words?
There's always a price to pay.
Yeah.
There's always a price to pay. And when they come for that payment, you better be ready.
To pay the price.
To pay the price.
Yeah.
So every emotional affair is an investment, and there's a price for that.
Yeah.
So when we have to get out of it, we have to be ready to do the work that comes with it.
All right. Thank you, Junior and Dr. Evas, for a wonderful conversation. I hope you have learned something, taken away something. It has given you clarity in your own situation. If you are experiencing this in your marriage, first of all, our hearts go out to you, and there's help. There's a gentleman here if you need a man's perspective. There's Dr. Evas if you do need professional help. Reach out, seek the help, and get the answers that you need. Until next week, please stay well and stay healthy. Give this episode a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and share it with a friend or a family member. We'll see you back again on Reality Check. Bye.